Economic empowerment. Mano kende gima nyalo duoko wach jaber. Unyalo kelonwa gik manyalo konyo jowagi. Kech duto waneno ka gidonjo e wachni okechgi. Kech obiro gi pesa ne matin, to rumo koro donjo e nyalo mar kunyo gi gik moko koro gin grube ka. To ginyalo push go bedo ka gin gi power. To ng'ato dong koriewa. An mane gima nyalo kwayo wach maduong' ne mondo ung'i kaka unyalo empower power gi mondo gibed gi power. Ka omiyo gi kata support moro, kok gin ka gin gi teko. Kech mae mamiyo gidhi e temptation chokea mar gima oseneno.
But the small communities are not talking about the problem. They are talking about the solutions. More access to capital, more livelihood opportunities, skills for young people, support for women to own their productive resources, fish farming, better financial literacy, and stronger community leadership. Because when people have choices, dependency begins to lose its power. The question is no longer simply who is responsible. It becomes what can we change together. And across this movement, communities are already pointing towards the answer: economic empowerment, dignity, opportunity, and collective action.
So if we can get economic empowerment, such as we put these people in circles, after putting them in circles and groups, we put to them some seed capital for them to start up some businesses, or we give them boats and nets, they own in groups, and this will reduce the maintenance of their oil.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that very short video. That is one case study from Homa Bay County. As we go on, we'll hear from other areas. Gabi, let's get our lectern back so that Mumbua now will take us to the presentation of the findings of the study. Thank you so much. This study was done. Now here are the findings. I think because of her laptop, just bring it to this corner here so that the wire is near. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you, Momboa. Wapi makofi jamani. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Karibu daktari.
To our honorable guest, Farida Salim, all cultural groups, partners, attendees, and the communities, good morning. My name is Mumbwa Mutunga. I am part of the research assistants that did the analysis for this work. I'm also a PhD student at the University of Nairobi and also the University of Glasgow. So I will take you through the findings of our study. Okay, so we had several questions that Philip had highlighted on what we set out to do and the path that we had decided that we are going to take in terms of this study. And so we had key questions that we asked ourselves as researchers, and also that is what guided us on how we are going to do the research. And so the first question that we had was, what drives the transactional sex for fish and gender-based violence? And so we got 5 themes. And just before I continue, work is still ongoing. We are still doing more research based on the questionnaires that we gave and also the responses that we gave. So these are the preliminary findings. And so once we finish, we'll be able to publish this work, and you'll be able to see. We'll also, the same way we've come back to the community to share our findings, we'll publish this work, and then you'll be able to see in the global setting what we were able to find. So, yeah, so what drives transactional sex for fish and gender-based violence? So we have seen that very good video, and you've seen that we have a lot of economic vulnerability. So you've seen that we have lack of finance, and we have that some people depend on fish for their livelihood. And we have some of those people even here with us. And so we have people that depend fully on fish to get their livelihood. And also we have some social cultural norms. For example, the relationships between men and women. As you all know, that it's the men that go into the waters and come up with the fish. And also now it's the women who need that fish to sell to support their livelihood. So there's those cultural norms. I'm not too sure if any women go into the waters to come up with fish. It's only the men. And also we have the gender inequality and power relations. We have the Jaboya relationships. We also have the unequal access to fish. As you said, if someone has the resource, of course they will dictate how you're going to access that resource. So they basically decide if you're going to access it or not. And then we also have the environmental factors. So as you've had, the fish is reducing in number, probably due to hyacinth and climate pressures. And also we have unsustainable fish practices currently. I'm not too sure if we have switched into using different boats, maybe different boats that are not physically operated and are actually motorized. I'm not sure we currently have that. And also from our findings, we found that we have other contextual factors, for example, use of mobile phones. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't own a phone, and also the alcohol use. So if I am addicted to alcohol and fishing is my only source of livelihood, then there's that interrelationship between that. And so from this, you find out that transactional sex for fish is not driven by only one factor. We have several factors that actually drive the transactional sex for fish. So we set out to do an analysis to just see how much of that has been ongoing. And so we divided the counties into 3 groups so that we don't have a lumped up result. So we have the 5 themes, as I said, and we put them in a figure to just show which of the drivers is more pronounced than the other. And from this you can see that economic vulnerability was the one leading, followed by the environmental factors and social cultural norms. And you can see Kisumu is leading in terms of the responses that we got. So please do not confuse that these are just the results that we got from the responses we got from the team and from the people that we interviewed, the KIIs and the FGD transcripts. And so one quote we got from this work, especially on the gender power imbalance, we got a fisherman from Homa Bay who said, women, since they don't go fishing, but we go fishing, it will force them to sleep with us for them to make ends meet. So this is something someone said while we were doing the interview. So you can see that there's that imbalance, there's that social economic imbalance, and also there's that gender parity that comes out of that. So the second question we set out to answer was, who are the key actors, who are the stakeholders in this transactional sex for fish? And so, as per usual, we had the women fish traders and processors, we have women and girls, we have the fishermen, we have the boat owners, we have the BMU leaders, community leaders, and so on and so forth. And so this should just bring out the fact that the transactional sex for fish is embedded within wider fisheries, household, communities, institutional, and it's just not an interaction between 2 individuals. So technically people might think that transactional sex for fish, it's between the fishermen and the fish traders. But in actual sense, that's not it. It goes beyond that. There is more to it than meets the eye. It's not just between the fishermen and the women traders. It's more than that. And so there's a lot of blame game that comes out of this. There's a lot of competing narratives that we get from this. So the women blame the men blame the women, the community blames the people that do this trade, and there's just those transactional conditions. And so, for example, so these are just experts that we got from the transcripts that we had. So for example, we have women, they frame this as an opportunistic or strategy, and they are accused of using sexual relationships to secure the fish. So for example, if I have a fisherman that I actually basically have targeted or eyes on. So I will use my power as a woman to get that fish. And so it is said that women engage because they need the fish. So remember, if I am a trader, I have no choice. I do not have any other source of livelihood. So I am going to succumb to whatever the fisherman says. I will dance to their tune for me to be able to get the fish and for me to be able to put food on my table. And then we have the men and the fishermen. So these are framed as the gatekeepers. They basically control the access to the resource. Remember, they're the ones that go into the waters. Remember, they're the ones that have what I need, the commodities we need to trade to get livelihood. So they are viewed as exploiting, and there is that unequal bargaining power. Remember, if I have the resource, I come to you, whatever I say you do, you're going to do it so that you can access the resource. So there's one lady that said he insists that we must be together sexually for him to give me fish. So you see, this is lived experiences. This is not something we got anywhere. This is lived experiences. And then we have the community and the culture. So this is basically it's where a community has normalized this act. So the communities living along the lake, like this is, hapa kuna, there's nothing new here. Like this is what is used to, because this is what happens in their day to day. So it has now been normalized. Unaona venye kitu ikifanyika over time, it becomes the norm and it becomes normalized within the community. And so you see that in this case, we got someone who said that transactional sex for fish is not seen as gender-based violence because people are willing to do it. There's a willing buyer and a willing seller, economics of scale. So, and then we have the structural conditions. So currently, if we have the fish scarcity, I will do whatever it takes for me to get fish. And then we have poverty and unemployment. That is rampant in our community. And so if there's a choice for me to start working in the fish industry, I will do whatever it takes for me to escape the poverty circle. And also, we have a lack of alternative livelihoods. As I said, I live along the fish. I don't feel like I want to farm, or I don't have the strength to farm. So the easiest thing for me to do is probably become a fisherman, become a jaboya, become a fish trader, and then again, the circle continues. And then we have limited access to capitals and markets, as you've just heard from the video. Some people don't do this because they have a choice. They do this because circumstances have forced them to be there, and so they have to do what it takes, whatever it takes for them to not go hungry. So one of the fishermen say that there's scarcity of fish. So the lack of capital can lead you to become sexually involved to access the resources. And so you can see the way there's that blame game. This one says no, because this one has the resource, I have to do whatever it takes. Remember, it feels like I do not have a choice. So I will do what it takes for me to access. I'll do what it takes for me to put food on the table. I will do what it takes for me to ensure that my children do not go hungry. And so one thing we came to realize is that transactional sex for fish and GBV are intertwined. I don't think one can exist without the other. So how we view this is that for transactional sex of fish, that is the exchange of fish for fish or accessing the fishing resources. So there's that jaboya relationship that happens within the lake region, and also it's a livelihood, it's a survival strategy for most of the traders, for most of the people that are involved in it. And then we have that voluntary consensual choice where someone has to basically, when someone dangles a carrot, you have to do what you have to do for you to be able to access it. So there's that, it is viewed as a voluntary or consensual choice. And then there's a consequence of pressure, scarcity, and limited alternatives. So if I was to call someone who does the fishing trade, and if someone is used to something, telling them that, oh, there's an alternative to do another thing, might be hard to change them. And also there's always the question of, where are the resources coming from? Who is going to fund me? And immediately funding is pulled, how am I going to survive? And also now on this other side, gender-based violence is viewed as forced sex or coercion, definitely a violation of human rights. And then there's also abuse of minors and vulnerable groups. For example, we have cases where this entire trade has enhanced or made even the school-going children to be involved in it. So yesterday, for the people that we were in the other conference, yesterday someone told us he started being in the fishing industry when he was 9. So you can see how young people can get involved into this. And then we have harm within the intimate and family relations. For example, if you're a job boy and you have a wife at home, are they aware of what you do within the settings of the fish and of the lake? And yesterday again we got a very interesting story where, like, it's a lived experience. You don't even have to go into lodgings or anything. You can actually even munamaliziana hapo within the lake settings. And also now we have the breaches of social and marital expectations. I mean, when you're married, you swear an oath, so that gets broken. So some of the things that we were told by the interviewed people is, even if you have money, you are willing to be with a fisherman. He may not favor you. So yesterday again we had a play where we had 2 ladies. One had already accepted her fate, that she's already involved in the trade between the fisherman and herself. But there's one who had money, but she could not access the loot, the fish, because she had refused to sleep with the jaboya. So becomes tricky there. And also now you can see that this person said, I can't say it is GBV because they do it willingly. So we've normalized transactional sex for fish such that it's actually gender-based violence, but most people do not view it as gender-based violence because apparently that choice for them to make has been removed. So they just have to do it. And then now that is where the willingness comes. And also remember, in the economics of scale, we have willing buyers, willing seller. If you don't feel like you want to sleep with me for me to give you fish, then it's okay. There's someone else willing to do it, right? Yeah. So the third question that we went out seeking was what responses or interventions currently exist. So some of the existing responses that we got is that we have community-led responses, which includes the beach management unit that is currently in place. We also have governmental responses. What is the government doing for us? And I'm glad that Madam Waziri, you're here, because you've heard on the 10th of September, they're doing some policies. And when policies are in place, when you're caught doing the opposite of that policy, you're in trouble. And then we also have the health systems. How are the communities within this lake region working with the health system? We also have NGOs and development partners. You've had, we have big organizations here that are willing to support some of the work and also to just end the transactional for fish. Also, we are trying as much as we can to create awareness. And how do we create awareness? We have these conferences. We also have, you've seen Strada, they went to the field, they did community awareness, even through the creation of this video. You've seen our chief saying, we need solutions, we need to do this, we need to do that. And so we have been called upon to do these things. And also we have like the gender-based violence, sexual rights education. We have the STI testing and support that goes on within the beaches, where you find that there are people that come and test people. And so to just know your status, and then you know how to live positively as life continues. And then we have some of the persistent barriers. What are some of the barriers that make us not, that are trying to stop us from achieving the end of transactional sex for fish? So we have the community social barriers. So these are, for example, people have already accepted their fate. Oh, this is what we do. So how will we try to change that norm of this is normalized here? We also have individual barriers where someone has okay, ukiniambia niache kuuza samaki, unataka nifanye nini? And then there's also that over dependency on support. So unapata someone does not have that mind of thinking, oh, without this there's no life out of here. So we need to also train people to think alternative solutions. We also have the stigma, the shame that comes with the transaction, with the trade. So you don't necessarily have to have done anything, but immediately you are living a lived experience. So of course you have stigma, you have the shame. You don't want to really put yourself out there because you have done it before. And then we also have the service-related barriers. So you find that sometimes when you want services, you cannot access them. You want to buy fish, that's a service, but you cannot access it because someone has decided that you have to sleep with them for you to get the fish. And also we have the fear of retribution, we have the lack of knowledge and governance and institutional barriers. But the good thing is that now we are launching policies that are going to put that all at bay. So yeah, so this is a graph just showing which are some of the current responses that we got, and for most of them we got were community-led responses followed by NGO developmental partners, and then we had the health system. So the fourth thing that we wanted to look out was the priority livelihood. What alternatives do communities propose? So basically this is what the communities was telling us that they would like to explore more. So we put them in 4 large categories. So we had the economic empowerment, we had the education and awareness, we had the community mobilization, and then we had the health and support systems. So under the economic empowerment, the interviewees said that they would like livelihood diversification, they want financial training and increased loan funding access, as the chief had said. Also, women wanted to get some financial support and asset ownership. And in asset ownership, it is in regards to the boats. So the women also would like to have boats that would go out there, get the fish. So you see, if when power is taken from someone, at least there's some equality that gets in there, and also some vocational trainings. Like you can give them alternatives. For example, they can be tailors, they can be any other thing, and I'm pretty sure immediately you train a woman on doing other alternatives, it's very easy. And then so on the education and awareness, basically is awareness creation. And how do we do this? Going to the community, training the people on, even if you are engaging in this, how about you do it safely? Doing the gender-based violence, because remember that people have made it so normal that it's no longer an issue. So how do we educate people? How do we produce youth and school-based program to incorporate this? And especially given the Lake region, we can actually incorporate this in our curriculum so that when children are in school, they are aware of what is happening. Also, we have the community mobilization, where we have the local government collaborations, the BMUs that are currently, I think, active in most of the beaches, if not all, and also the peer support and training of local people. We have health support and support systems. So currently we have people that do the trainings, psychological support, if someone has been exposed, what next, and other health support services, for example, testing and the rest. So this is still on that. So what are some of the observations and implications that we have currently? So we have the livelihood insecurity, we have the resource scarcity, we have economic dependence, we have social expectations, and gender power relations. So currently, what are the current perceived impacts of transactional sex for fish and gender-based violence? So we've seen that we have violence between people that are involved. I find that you have been sleeping with my husband, I will beat you up for sure. And then there's unwanted pregnancy. So you've seen that we have a lot of school dropouts along the Lake region. We have kids, school-going kids that are currently pregnant, and I'm pretty sure they don't impregnate themselves. It's someone dangling a carrot somewhere. So we also have some school dropouts where this one goes either genders. We have girls, we have boys that want to provide, and it's because sometimes they have no choice. They are seeing the conditions that they're living in, and they just choose to go out there and provide. For girls, they will drop out because of the unwanted pregnancies. And also, so we have also other social impact. For example, we find that we discover, because kwa beach pia watu wanaongeanga, someone becomes alienated, they become traumatized and all that, even to the point of committing suicide, so it's bad. And then we have also mental economic health impacts. For example, if now you've already had how HIV is rampant within the Lake region. So that is something that should be looked into. And then we have household relationship impacts, where of course, ukianza kwenda na bwana ya mtu mwingine ama ukianza kwenda na bibi ya mtu mwingine, that's a household that is about to go to break. And also, again, that affects also the economic in terms of the money that comes into that household. Also, like chunga boma yako. Like if you have just one house and you are focusing on that, it's very hard for you to have multiple, and then it will also not, you're not also going to borrow money, because I remember there was one case where someone became an alcoholic because they'd borrow money from mama wa kuuza pombe, and it kept on going for on and on. And then we also, of course, have the gender-based violence. We have the fisherman relationship impacts. Unapata one fisherman, they're fighting for several women. And then we also have economic impacts, domestic violence, and also death. Sometimes it gets so bad that someone gets killed because of those relationships that they establish within the Lake region. Yeah, so these are some of the findings. I am looking forward to hearing what your opinions are. So yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mombua. A better round of applause for Mombua. Thank you so much. I believe this could be your phone. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the research findings. I love the quotes. Once in a while, people will say, I want fish, but I don't have this. What can I do? It's normalized so that it looks like they have chosen it, but that choice was taken away from them. A better round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Makofi mazuri kabisa. Now we are going to... Yesterday there was a conference at Wise Hub, and this conference discussed a lot of things, and we want to now receive feedback from that conference. And to do that, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome on stage Malvin Aseto. Wapi makofi ya Malvin as she comes to give us feedback from yesterday's conference. I saw her ensuring everything was well captured and well documented. Another better round of applause for Malvin, small girl with a big God. Thank you so much. Asante sana. On a light note. Asante sana.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy you're here today to listen to very important issues. And by you being here, it means that we are looking for solutions, right? And we always say that solutions are always in the room. So be sure that we'll get solutions today. So yesterday, we had a youth conference of the same, Beyond Sex for Fish. And the occasion was graced by 58 youth representatives from Kisumu, Siaya, and Homa Bay, where the research and dissemination of the findings were conducted. So I would just like to start with the dissemination of the findings from the research from the various communities, and then I'll later on proceed to the reports of yesterday's conference. So as it was mentioned earlier by Philip and Mumbwa, the research was conducted in Kisumu, Homa Bay, and Siaya counties from the different beaches through the key inquiry informations and the focus group discussions. So I won't repeat what Mumbwa had presented because she has presented on the findings, but I will just give you similarities or some of the key information that was acquired from the various dialogues or from the various dissemination that were conducted in those regions. As the dissemination was being done, all the communities confirmed that the drivers, the actors, and the challenges were the same. And as Mumbwa mentioned, that the key driver for transactional sex for fish was the economic vulnerability. And from the video that we just watched, it was evident that economic vulnerability is mostly experienced by women, as much as men also experience it, but the high rate or the highest gender that experiences economic vulnerability are women. So the communities confirm that poverty and economic vulnerability, particularly among women, fish traders and other people depend on the fish for livelihoods. And another driver was limited access to fish and productive resources, which creates dependency on which creates dependency on fish or fish traders, which creates dependency on fishermen and boat owners. So women depend so much on fishermen for the product which is scarce in the market. And then we have fish scarcity and fluctuating catches, which increases competition among traders. And yesterday, as we were having this discussion, youth were preferring that we could have more cages to ensure there is surplus fish in the market to reduce the issue of transactional sex for fish. Alcohol and substance abuse was also identified as another driver for transactional sex for fish. So across the 3 regions where the research was conducted, participants confirmed that increased vulnerability to HIV and AIDS and STIs and other reproductive health challenges is a problem. So for them, they were preferring that, because for a fish trader, they say they can't go out for other services. If they can be brought for the health services at the center, that will help them to ensure that they know their status, also to ensure that they get the information they need to know in order to protect themselves. So another effect that was confirmed was economic dependency and continued poverty. As much as fish is free, the fishermen go to the lake, they get the fish, they bring it here to the market, but because they get it for free, they will give it for free, but not free as we say it, but they will exchange it for sex. So for that fisherman, he will continue languishing in poverty. He will not develop himself. Instead, he can acquire diseases from the various partners that they could be having or they could be transacting the trade with. So economic dependency and continued poverty will still continue to be a problem. And family conflicts was also confirmed to be another effect of transactional sex for fish. And finally, reduced as household investment and community development. Remember, when you make money, you develop your community. But if you go out, struggle to get the product, then come and give it out for free, that means that the economy will be dwindling. It means that your family will be suffering, and that means there will be no development or growth. So as I mentioned earlier, that solutions always lie in the room. So from the dissemination engagements that we had with the communities, they had proposal of the solutions to the challenge, and most of them were community-led solutions, but they also require the government to do something in order to end transactional sex for fish. So among the solution or the proposed interventions were economic empowerment and livelihood, which was just mentioned from the video that we watched. We have increased access to capital, saving groups, financial literacy, and affordable credit, especially for the youth and women. Support for women to own boats, fish cages, and other productive assets, because we realize that women, if they don't have fish, or if they don't have the commodity, which is the fish, they don't have money. Yeah, they need to feed their family. They will have to do whatever they have to do in order to do what, to get the fish. And as it was mentioned earlier, that transactional sex for fish is a form of gender-based violence. So as much as they will consent to sleeping with you in order to get the product, it doesn't come from a free will. They are forced to because of the economic vulnerability. So we need to ensure that women are empowered. And then we have promotion of alternative economic activities, which was earlier mentioned by my predecessors. We had the farming, we had digital livelihoods. Right now, the world is moving into the digital era. So if we can empower youth, if we can empower women, and also men, it's not only for men and women and girls. We are also looking forward to empowering men and boys, because they are also vulnerable to this transactional trade. We have continuous community awareness and SRHR education, strengthening the BMU governance, transparency, and accountability. Yesterday, as we were discussing, youth mentioned that as much as we have policy on the ground, are they being implemented? Who is there to ensure that these rules are protecting the rights of fish traders and also the rights of everyone involved in the fishing industry? So that has to be strengthened. And then strengthen collaboration between government, BMU, CSOs, sales providers, community leaders, and development partners. As we were looking at the actors for transactional sex for fish, you realize that it's not only a one-man thing, and there's no one to be blamed. We can't put the blame on a specific person. So it calls for a collective responsibility. It calls for all hands to be joined. Remember, tukitengana tutaanguka, si ndio? So we have to come together to ensure that transactional sex for fish is curbed. And then finally, strengthening research and documentation to ensure that women, girls, and boys are represented in future interventions. So in order to ensure that we are here today, because someone sat down and thought to initiate such a research. That is why we are here today, and we are here to find solutions. So if we can strengthen more of this research, this should not be the end of this research. As Mumbwa mentioned, that these were just the preliminaries and the research will still continue. So it is a collective duty of everyone, not only the professionals in research industry or anyone, but it's a collective duty to ensure that we research more on transactional sex for fish. And we heard yesterday from the youth conference that it is not only transactional sex for fish. There is one that is bigger than fish, which is omena. And I think a lot should be done there. From the findings that we had yesterday, it means that a lot is happening on the ground, and we need people, we need professionals to come out, do research, invite the policymakers, ensure that a solution is found for the problems. With that, I would just like to call on for the policy and stakeholder implications, because we have great minds here that can drive change. And so for the stakeholder and policymakers, kindly prioritize livelihood, the diversification and economic empowerment within the fishing communities. Because if we don't do that, it means that we will be having more and more and more of such meetings without solutions being found. So it is upon us to ensure that we call into action on the end of transactional sex for fish. Then we can also integrate SRHR, GBV, mental health, and substance abuse services within beach communities. And I'm happy that a lot of organizations are doing that to ensure that the rights and the welfare of the fish traders around the lake are well taken care of. So I will just go to the youth conference summary report of yesterday. I had mentioned that 58 participants from Homa Bay, Kisumu, and Siaya attended the conference. And the purpose was to share the transactional sex for fish research findings, create space for youth perspective and lived experiences, and identify practical solutions. Well, I will just move to the solutions and the recommendations that were given by the youth, because I have shared a lot on their experiences and also on their thoughts from the previous reports. Well, there were 3 leading questions yesterday after the findings were disseminated to the participants. And the first question was, what was done right? And from the response of the participants, they mentioned that the research itself was a well done work, because without doing the research, we couldn't have these findings that we are disseminating here today. So the research itself brought visibility and in-depth information on the transactional sex for fish. and identification of economic vulnerability and power imbalance as major drivers for transactional sex for fish was also mentioned to be the right thing that was done from the research. And finally, the opportunity to connect research findings from lived experiences. It means that we didn't just go to a community, call specific people, and come out with the finding. It means we brought them up on board to share their lived experiences, which was very instrumental in the solutions that we'll be finding today. Another question that was asked was what was missing from the research? Because the team felt like perhaps there's something that was supposed to be captured which was not captured. So from the youth responses, so for youth, they felt that greater examination of the power held by Jaboya or the boat owners was not well captured, because we talk of power imbalance, but how much power do they hold, and who has the power to create a balance between that power that is held by Jaboya as compared to the fish traders or the women who are vulnerable to transactional sex for fish? Another important information that was missed was the attention to women as actors within the fishing economy, not only as victims. Because when they were presenting on the transactional sex for omena, they didn't call it that, but I will call it that. Transactional sex for omena, they mentioned that we have economically empowered or economically powerful women who are boat owners, and they use young boys or young men. So a woman will be 45 years, gets a boy of 24 years, gives him the boat, and now the boy has to go to do what? To get omena. They are called madar. So you see, they have their madeche, and for them, they rent for them houses. They give them soft life because kila mtu anataka kutoka block, you see. So the woman will get sexual favors from this boy. So for the youth, they felt that aspect was not captured well in this research. It means that men and boys are also vulnerable to transactional sex for fish or omena. And finally, they mentioned that greater recognition of the experiences of boys and young men, including situations where sex may be exchanged for employment opportunities. That is what I was just explaining. And finally, from the lived experiences, 4 representatives shared their lived experiences, and it was noted that when the issue of transactional sex for fish prevails, a lot of people will be losing their lives, because if I hear a rumor that you are having sex with my husband, or especially men are very, very jealous. If they hear that you're having sex with their wife, they will come with a panga and do what? End your life. What happens to the family that is left behind? They are orphaned. And that is why someone explained that is why you find a lot of orphans around the shores or around the beaches, because their parents are the wealthiest people, but they don't live to enjoy the wealth that they have, simply because they have resulted, or they have decided that I will give this fish for sex. And what comes next? Disagreement, conflict. You might end up dying. You might end up getting infected. And from that, you won't accept your fate. You'll decide to do what? To live the life that you think is best for you, which will lead to your death. So it was mentioned, or it was identified, that if the transactional sex for fish continues, then it will be a chain. It will be a chain that will never end, because from also the dissemination activities, there was a woman who particularly mentioned that we can't end transactional sex for fish because it's something in the mind. It's a mindset. For her, she said that a woman gets out of her house, she knows that she's going to get fish without paying for it. So, for that person, it takes a lot for you to do what? To change the mindset. So we need to first change their mindset, empower them, and ensure that transactional sex for fish is reduced. I had also mentioned on the consequences of transactional sex for fish. I won't repeat that. We also had a panel discussion which brought together researchers, research participants, a fish trader, and a BMU representative, and a wellness specialist. The key issues were the roles of BMUs in governance and accountability, and it was questioned, like, is the BMU doing enough, or is it in the forefront to ensure that transactional sex for fish is completely reduced? Because we also received their feedback, and someone mentioned that you need to work with the BMU closely to ensure that they do not promote transactional sex for fish. So that one communicates a lot. It means that it is something that is inside. And then the contribution of faith-based leaders was also widely expounded on, and it was mentioned that there are some beaches that have used faith-based leaders or have used churches or the pastors to ensure that transactional sex for fish is reduced, especially in Nyamware Beach, where on Saturdays they have prayer sessions. You know, for that, it teaches you how to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And if you love your neighbor, you won't take advantage of your neighbor, right? Yeah, so it was mentioned that faith-based leaders have a lot of contribution to ending the transactional sex for fish. CSOs that ensure women empowerment were also acknowledged as part of the actors that end transactional sex for fish. The last recommendation, which was very important, was to ensure that age-appropriate sexual education is offered at a young age, because we realize that fish traders go with their young girls to the beach, they go with their children to the beach, and from that point, the fishermen know how to identify the new blood. So for them, if they see that, they see an opportunity. So it was important that we offer the sexual education at an early age. And finally, Beyond Sex for Fish demonstrated that transactional sex for fish is not simply an individual choice or an isolated transaction. It is shaped by economic vulnerability, gender inequality, power imbalance, fish scarcity, and limited livelihood opportunities. Therefore, addressing these issues require more than awareness. We can't just create awareness and leave it at that point. It requires economic empowerment, stronger governance, meaningful participation of women and youth, and protection mechanism, and coordinated action. And this brings an end to my presentation by urging you that let's hold hands, let's find solution, let's walk step by step. It won't be a one night or a one day event, but it will be a journey which can be possible through your support, through your engagement, and through your services. So it means that change starts with us. If you're in this room, be a champion to end transactional sex for fish. If you're a BMU leader, be a champion to do what? To ensure that these policies are well enacted and well implemented. Thank you so much.
Wapi makofi mazuri kwa Malvin Aseto. In the course of our performances and presentations today, we're going to have 3 panel discussions, very incisive panels. They'll be moderated by the very able Mombua, the very able Philip, and the very able Olivia. First of the panels will be moderated by Mombua. But before we do that, let's get a theater break. So Winam Creatives, as we set up the stage for the panel, kuja mutupatie skit yenu sasa hivi. Gabi and the technical people, let's set up this for the panel discussion. Kwa hivyo to drop hii, and then we make a small semicircle kwa hii nini yetu. Someone left their phone here. If this is your phone, please come for it. Asante sana. Good. Winam Creatives, Owiti Maua, take the stage. Haya, let's technical team, let's make a nice semicircle with the seats. Winam time ni yenu, so moderator atakuwa hii side. DJ, let's have some soft music as we set up this. So the moderator is going to be here. Naomba ikuwe semisako. Wow, good, good. So, thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. DJ, let's get some soft music. Nasikia Winam Creative wanna change. They had some costumes and they are changing. I will call on stage the panelists, then they'll just no, wataboeka. Let's have the performance first. Let's have some soft music, DJ, and then we can go to the first panel. After the first panel, we'll break for lunch, and I will humbly request in the afternoon, let's wear the branded t-shirts. You have all of you have a kikapu. Hebu guza kikapu yako kama bado iko. Kama imeshaibiwa. Hiyo kikapu iko na t-shirt fulani ndani. So during lunch break, run to the bathroom, change into that t-shirt. If it's too small, come and get someone who also got another that is too big, and then you swap, then you get. I doubt if they got one my size, but we are hoping. By the grace of God, we are hoping. So in the afternoon, t-shirts. Afternoon, branded t-shirts. Good. Elanya. Yeah. Technical. Thank you very much. Our theater group had some unique costume that they must look for. Thank you. Allow me to call our panel right on top here. Ukiitwa Mnampigia makofi. Shona vile unaenda kuchukua award pale kwa nini? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fisher folk. This is a fish trader from Wichrum Beach, Siaya. Put your hands together for Florence. Ukiitwa unakuja na maji yako. Kama unafikiri utakuwa na thirst, but kama uko sawa kuja tu. Haya. Secondly, next on the panel, a researcher. One of the people who did the research. So they'll tell us what they found out. Put your hands together for Bernard. And thirdly, BMU from Dunga Beach. Put your hands together for Richard. And of course, finally, the great county government of the great county of Kisumu. Put your hands for CEC Trade, Honorable Farida. Na ambao theater iko tayari. Sasa wakuje tu, wakae, alafu wachape kitu moja noma kabisa.
Na upate kitu yenye unataka.
Lando unaniambia boya.
Never. Can you get sabun man?
Wewe. Angomba nimbele bichika. Haja kwa monge watch.
na pia economic empowerment kwa kina mama ina affectiwa na wengine wataogopa kwenda kwa lake kuvua. Yeah.
Hii shida tunaweza kuitatua kivipi? Madam, tutatue shida kivipi?
Tunaweza tatua hii shida kwa kuelimisha wasichana wetu. Si lazima they have sex with the men. We should empower our ladies and also give them at least enough capital to start their business.
Urera. Hilo nani jamacha? Watime nade.
Okay, to me, I would have a different opinion. I would think that the best thing to do is to create awareness in that guy. Tell him that whatever he's doing is wrong. Because if it's about arresting Jaboya, we will arrest every Jaboya around. And the women around the lake will not be having fish. Because it's those Jaboyas that are bringing the fish to them. So the best thing to me will be creating awareness and teaching them that whatever they're doing is wrong.
Mwana ni msichana ule katikati anaitwa Masi, yeye ako kwa system. Unaweza kumadvise vipi?
Yes, naweza kumadvise akikuja kutafuta samaki akuwe na capital yake ya kutosha ili asiingizane na mambo ya Jaboya. Sasa akiwa pale ako na ujasiri, ako na pesa yake ya kuchukua samaki ya kutosha.
Jaboya. Jogo wachuni mendayali angaya. Injo, ingi dako. Dala, tibego terne chigi kucho. Inja, mama, ingi lichuo. Ginje tendo. Ngani raracha. Babu injo, idwa ketone mama ni ot. Unataka kuharibia huyu mama ndoa. Utampeleka wapi kusharibia ndoa? Unanisikiza? Kuanzia leo mimi ndio Jacom wa hapa Donga BAU chairperson. Umenisikiza? Sasa kuanzia leo nimekupiga marufuku, hakuna kuvua samaki hapa. Kwa hii beach kila mtu akona haki ya kufanya biashara. Tumesikizana? Kila mtu akona haki ya kupeana pesa na kununua samaki. Kila mtu akona haki ya kuvua samaki kwenye hii ziwa ya Victoria. Umesikia? Kwa hivyo wewe tunakuchukulia hatua, unaenda ndani na usiwahi kanyanga hapa. Nyako, mimi hiyo biashara sitaki hapa. Ukikuja kununua samaki, yingeni ni jezi, kurido wale gichuogi, kani chup. Hatutakubali hiyo. Umenisikiza? Sitaki kuona hiyo tena. Mama, nyorech ka pesa, nyorech kacha, idiot, mundi pith nyithindo. Sawa sawa? Ngone. Wogili wadi kodi. Wateri kwa mera.
Wapi makofi mazuri jamani. Wow. They have captured the goings on in the beach. Allow me to welcome CEC Trade Honorable Farida Salim. Wapi makofi anapopanda jukwani. And finally the moderator, the wonderful Mumbua Mutunga. Mumbua, karibu sana. Wapi makofi ya Mumbua Mutunga.
I have some amazing panelists and I'm pretty sure we have questions for them. So welcome our panelists. Welcome Florence. Welcome Bernard. Welcome CC Farida. Welcome Richard. So do you want us to make this room very hot ama tuende pole pole? All right. Nimemwambia bring it on. Mmesikia nimemwambia bring it on. Haya, sawa. So let's get started. So you have seen that we have done the research and we have presented some of the findings. So what do you feel is missing from the study findings? What can be done? What more can be done in terms of research? Because unajua tumezoea that people come do the research, alafu akimaliza wanaenda. So what more can be done from this research? How are you different, because you're representing different people? How do you feel we can do more for this? And how can we expand this to even greater heights from what we've done? Thank you. Welcome. We can start with you, Florence.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Florence Achieng from Wishlum. I've been a typical Jaboya for around 3 years. So no, I know what to be a Jaboya mean. Talking out of the experience, what should be done. As a Jaboya, yes, we talk as women, but I want to be different. I want to talk the men's side. I think we should also check on the men's side, like something that should be done. Since men are the genders that go fishing, but not all of them around the lake go fishing. So we should be engaging men, I think, in some solar or boat repairs activities, so that all the men around the beach can be engaged. Not all of them go fishing, but most of them are engaging in these sexual activities, harassment and other things. So to me, I think men should also be engaged. I think that will be my point. We should engage men to activities. They should also be created out of fishing. Some opportunities should be created for men.
All right, Bona Bernard.
Yes, so I want to share two things on that. One was that stood clearly yesterday in the youth conference that we had. The first point was the BMU have laws, the government have laws. The problem that was showing is that these laws are not enacted, they are not put into action. So maybe if that is done, then that will help deal with the transactional sex for fish. The other thing that was shared with one of us who is in our midst here, Emma, she said that we only bring solutions after the problem has come up. Now she was saying that it is better to come up with a prevention way, so that the teenage pregnancies, we have ways of supporting the young girls after the teenage pregnancy, but we can come out with a way of preventing this before it happens, to help them and not get in such situations. Yes.
Awesome, Madam Waziri.
Thank you for the findings that have been shared with us. For me, I also feel if we have women who have moved away from transactional sex, it would also be nice to hear their stories and how they are managing, that other different life. It would be very nice to hear from them so that others can also learn. And then from the research, I have not seen clear policy intervention areas that have been recommended for us to pick up. So it would be nice also to hear that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. To me, having seen and looked at the finding and the key drivers, and as you see around, we have the female, which is vulnerable in the transactional sex for fish, and what is missing here, we should actually empower them on other businesses, like training them on how they can sustain themselves, and actually they can do the alternative livelihoods, like not only women that are in the fishing industry, they are not only trading in fish, but they can do other alternative livelihoods like mat making, and also engage in other business, like when they are empowered, they can also do the border taxi, among other livelihoods around the beach area. Yes.
Awesome. As you've heard, we can have female boda women around the beach area, right? So on to my second question. Given your level of authority, you are all people in authority in your respective areas. What interventions have you explored or are exploring at your level of authority? What solutions do you feel will make a difference in your community? So I'll again start with Florence. So please go ahead.
I think as in our beach, the BMU drafted some rules, but I can't say they are really strict to their rules because the BMU themselves, they are also involved in the sex for fish trade. So I can't really say the rules are drafted and followed. So I would wish to give someone to the BMUs around. The rules are there. They are structured, but you can only follow a rule when the rule maker is doing what is stated. So I would wish the rules to be enforced well, and they should be followed starting from the BMUs. Again, on since fish is scarce and the population that needs the fish too much, I will wish the BMU managements to, when the fishermen have brought the fish to the beach, they place on a centralized place so that everyone around the beach who trades fish gets the fish from a centralized place, not that everybody has a jaboya that she or he faces to get the fish.
Right, that is really good. So you've heard that tukuwe na centralized place enye samaki zinakuja, and you've heard from Ajaboya herself, okay? Yes, Bwana Bernard.
Yes, I just also wanted to share the same which Flo has talked about. That is bringing fish to a centralized place. There's one of us also who talked about it yesterday, and it has been found to be working, and all beaches can go and ahead and implement it. About solutions, I believe the best solutions can come from the same community. Some of them they gave us. Others maybe some of us here can come up with, can come from us. But I believe that a solution that comes from the community is the best because that makes it sustainable at the end of it.
Okay. There's the concern around access to finance, and I want to say that should no longer be a challenge because the government has created several kitties that are supposed to be accessed by women, by youth. And sadly, when you take your time to find out the uptake level of those funds, you realize it is this region, Nyanza region, that is still lagging behind. For example, we have the Women Enterprise Fund. There is a specific fund within the Women Enterprise Fund that was established for the chamas because most of the women are in chamas. Can you imagine money that is interest-free? Interest-free is not being taken up by our women in Nyanza, and because of that, the women in other regions who have depleted their kitties now look around and see the kitty that is still underutilized. It is the one they take. So I want to challenge the women in this room and also in the villages, in the communities. Can we use what we have? You know, that is a kitty that is very simple to access. You only need to be a group of 10 women. And then within that group, you have to be registered. Registration is only 1,000 shillings with the social services. Then you have to access 3-day business training to be able to apply. You can't apply before you are trained. And then once you have been trained, the first amount that the group accesses is 100,000. And then you graduate. If you repay, you move to 200, then 350, then 500, then 700,000. Surely with that money alone, what can that group do? And because of collateral issues, that's why the emphasis is on the group, so that we guarantee one another. That is money. And you know, you're not paying interest. The only amount that you pay, which is deducted upfront, is the processing fee, which is around, I think, 5%. Then you go and do the business. Sasa kina mama, mbona tunalia? Na pesa iko na hatuchukui. Now that is one. We have Uwezo Fund, we have Nyota Project, we have Hustler Fund. The monies are there. Where is the problem? We cannot create. Okay, I was seriously pushing for the county to have an enterprise fund. But then I was also challenged that if we have all these kitties and people are not making good use of them, so where is the need? Why do you create another kitty when the ones that have been created are still idle? And you see, it makes a lot of sense because the county is also has got competing interests. So I want to urge women. The regional office is here in Kisumu, and it is covering the 3 counties, Kisumu, Siaya, and Homa Bay. The money is there. Can we start utilizing that money until we exhaust it, so that we push for more allocation for Nyanza? Before then, sina sauti ya kuanza kufight to be given more. You must use what you have first. So that is something that I want to ask all of us to reach out. The office is just here at Prosperity House, 10th floor. You know a group that needs this money. Let's create awareness. Let's share information so that we start utilizing our monies to sort out our problems. And Nyota project is also there for individual traders. You know, there are monies for groups and there are also monies for individual traders. So akina mama, tuchangamkeni jamani. We can't be complaining and we have resources that we are not utilizing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Madam Waziri has also eaten into what I wanted to say, because all these things evolve around finance. And I also want to concur with my fellow colleagues that have said that what should be done is that there should be an equal distribution of the fish at the beach. Like typically how we are doing at my beach, we set time where all boats are landed. Then we also set time after the traders have come, they are released at once to go and take fish from these various boats after taking the revenue. And as Kisumu County, we are rolling up the bylaws, and all these things are within our bylaws. Like very soon in September, we'll be having our bylaws that will be helping us in actually addressing these issues of transitional sex within our beaches and where we are coming from. And we have terms that are used at the beaches, like different BMUs have got different bylaws that are governing all these things. And we also have the subcommittees that are headed, that are charged with different activities within the beach. Like these are the ones that is involving the transitional sex is under the arbitration and the welfare subcommittee that deals with the welfare of those that are working at the beach. What should be done, and the solution here is actually centralizing where they take fish, and we don't want to escape the fact that sex happens not at everybody's eyes, but it is something that is happening maybe behind, after the business. Therefore, the best solution again is just empowering the women and the men at the beach, and also saying no to that. If you are saying no, that no, I have my money and I have 20 shillings to buy fish, I don't want any other thing, it will actually help. Yes.
All right. So now that I have Madam Waziri here, I have a specific question for you. So we often say that we should focus on women changing their behavior, yet many women participating in this transactional sex for fish are operating within a system. And this is where it comes to access to fish, income and decision making. And we have power is obviously unequal. What structural changes can Kisumu County, for instance, since you're here and you represent Kisumu, what structural changes can Kisumu County make so that women do not have to choose between protecting their health, protecting their livelihoods? I know you've told us we have several kitties that are available. That is one. Of those changes, which ones do we already have enough evidence to implement, and which one? Sorry. So of those changes, which ones do you already have enough evidence to implement, and which ones still require research before the county can confidently implement on? Thanks.
Okay. First of all, I want to, I'm also looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that it's not, the notion does not exist only in the fishing industry. Very many young ladies looking for jobs at some point will encounter that, where unaambiwa we unaringaringa tu hapa utapataje kazi. So it's not only in the fishing industry, at our workplaces that exists, in the universities, in educational institutions, it exists. So it is a bigger problem than in the fishing industry. So then the question that we should all ask ourselves, how do you break that cycle? Even politically, wanawake wanatukanwa usiku na mchana. Women are told, it's as if we don't have brains. We are just an empty shell. This one was nominated because of, having an affair with somebody. And you went to school as a woman. You went to school. You have a functional brain inside you, but it is just a perception. People have that perception and they have normalized it. So first of all, can we move away from that perception? Kwanza sisi akina mama. Can we move away from it? Because some women, I'm not saying all, some women have also advanced that perception. I don't know. Have you seen a scenario where a woman abuses another woman using the same mentality. See, it exists. And then, you know me, huwa nasema, nikitukanwa na mwanaume, I will not feel the pain as much as the one coming from a fellow woman. Coming from a fellow woman, it's more painful. So it is a whole big problem that we must look at. And the policies that we have, my director here is the director for gender is here. And the input that we get is, it should not be from the women alone. It should be from everybody. Okay? Because even for us to protect the graduates, the university graduates who are getting into the job market, see, we have some work to do. Structurally, we have some work to do. Because gender-based violence and workplace gender-based violence is a reality. And we must look at how do we move away from that. Practically, me, I like speaking for myself. You know me, I have navigated several fields that are male-dominated, okay? So you find yourself, because you push yourself to be there, and then some people look at you and think you were accorded sexual favors to be there, okay? So I don't pay attention to such people. I don't. I look at what can I do? What can I do to serve the people that I have been appointed or nominated or elected, whichever, in whatever capacity? How do you serve away from that noise and away from that mentality? So we must learn to remain focused and move away from that noise, so that we can reason soberly, we can reason objectively to be able to help that more vulnerable woman or man. Si tumeambiwa hata wanaume pia wanapitia the same, so that we are able to help. So it starts there. And unless we change our perspective, including me and you and the rest of us in the room, we will talk and talk and talk and talk until the cows come back home. And still the problem will be there. It is there. Another example is that tunaona situations, and you know, those are just situations that we are seeing practically, that we, and sadly enough, there is nothing you can do about it. There is nothing until that person changes herself. Warembo na. Warembo na. Warembo na. Why can't this Warembo also stand with fellow women? Why should it be Warembo na? Warembo na Joshua, Warembo na Peter, Warembo na Karaoke, Warembo na, mumewaiona Warembo na Carol, Warembo na Farida, Warembo na Jen, mumewaiona? I have a question on that. Why? Why? And it has become so rampant. So in as much as we are talking about putting systems and policies in place, really, iko hapa. Si hata ule the skit, si uliona ule mama aki, huyo mwingine huyo, iko wapi? Hapa. So first of all, tuiondoe kwanza. Tukubali ya kwamba tunafanya makosa. It's not even about ile kitu ulikuwa unasema ati sijui dress, sijui what. Iko hapa kwanza. Can we remove it from our thought patterns? Because we went to school. And all of us have been given an opportunity to go to school. Those of us who are lucky. Sini ukweli? Because there are also those ones who are, I will excuse mwenye hajaenda shule. Lakini mwenye ameenda shule, behaving like this is a no. It is happening, my dear. It is a problem. And so the first thing for me is that let's first agree that we must remove it from our heads. And then, tukiondoa, then we'll start reasoning together. lakini
Awesome.
tutaongea hapa, tutacheka. Beyond that door, maneno inaendelea. To an extent, Jackie will see somebody there, out there, doing the things that we have agreed within this conference that are not good. Lakini we will not even bother. Hiyo ni yao. Kila mtu na shida ya. So mi nawaomba, those of us who are in government like myself, if we get support from the community, advancing some solutions becomes very easy than when you are fighting and you realize you are alone. At some point you get tired and then you say, let go. I don't know, Siaya, Homa Bay, if you guys have the same challenge, but I think those challenges are similar. They are similar. So how then do we join hands? Me, I'm yet to see a woman affected coming to my office, sijaona, from this fishing industry. Wale ambao wako affected seriously and they are looking for solutions. Sijawaona kwa ofisi yangu. But I've seen men in different, cutting across different sectors, come frequently to engage with my office on economic issues within their sectors. It is the truth. Wanawake ambao wanakuja are very few, but from the fishing industry, and I stand to be corrected. Kama kuna mwenye amewahi kukuja kwa ofisi yangu, aseme. So that is also another issue. In as much as you want us to help you, si hata we lazima ujitume. Ufike, tuongee, useme, the areas that you think you need, so that we are not making policies that are owned by us. I talked about 3 policies that already we will be officially launching. Those policies, we engaged the public extensively. But kwa hii ya fishing, bado.
Actually, the other question was, amongst those 3 policies, do we have any policy touching on the fishermen?
Okay, the policies are general, cutting across. Like you see, when I talk about buy Kisumu, build Kisumu, we are looking at the local manufacturers, the local innovations, the local enterprises, and that cuts across. Like in the fish industry, we have different engagements. So it is touching across any biashara that is within Kisumu that we need to promote. It doesn't leave out any sector. Same to the trade and markets. We are looking at how do we market our locally manufactured goods, right from our locally available market, regional market, and eventually into the international market. If we are looking at the cooperatives policy, how do we transition the community-based organizations that have been there and self-help groups into the cooperative model, because it has more economic benefit than the traditionally self-help and CBO. So it cuts across. It doesn't discriminate any sector. Yeah.
Okay, so you've heard the policies are cutting across, so we need to find a way on how we are going to ensure that fishing or this our trade is part of those policies, and also pia umesikia lazima tujitume na to ensure that we are also part of those policies. We need to benefit. We need to ensure our women are no longer getting the carrot that is being dangled. Okay, so I think there's one thing I'm actually curious about, na ninataka nisikie Florence, Bernard, and everyone else, and also Bwana Richard, wewe ndo utatuambia the solution. So yesterday the same skit was performed and someone aliuliza, now that the BMU alishikwa, what happens then? Tunakuja tunaambiwa venye kulienda, ama after some time ataenda kwa beach ingine aendeleze na the same act. So Florence, given that tuko kwa ground, hebu tuambie nini inafanyikanga after BMU ameshikwa?
You know, along the beach, there are a lot of fishing going around. Not only I mean, they are illegal ones. So BMU are riding a lot of things along the beach since they get the, how do we call it? The money the BMU collect from the beach. So when they are found on such things, you know, along the beach, people are busy always. They don't have time to follow up to other policies like, I mean, the police and other organizations that can take part. So it is something that is just solved around with some little money. And it is a norm, it's something that just goes on. So they don't really take action. And if they really do, I think one of the BMUs around can support that. They don't really do. It is something just solved around. Since the people around, the people along the beach are busy. They don't get time to visit other organizations for help.
It is a beautiful thing that Bwana Richard uko hapa. Okay, thank you.
Yes. What one is what Flo has said. When we were doing the data collection, it came out clearly that some of the BMU members are very corrupt. So even if you forward your complaint to them, it will not be handled. The other thing is there's a rule that you can be expelled or you can be suspended. Those who are suspended will definitely come back. Those who are expelled move to other beaches. And the third thing which someone raised yesterday is most of the people who handle these issues are men. So when you go there before them as a lady, for example, Flo, they will judge you according to experiences they have in their houses. Nyinyi wanawake mmejua nyinyi ni kichwa ngumu. Wewe uliambiwa ufanye nini na hujafanya nini. You see, they judge you according to some of the experiences that they have in their household. So I believe the rule, I don't know about the rule of the leadership of BMUs, but I think there's a beach we went where the committee is, they had half is male, the other half is female. And I think the treasurer and the secretary were also female. I think that puts a good ground where when a complaint comes from maybe one of the traders, it is easily handled. She feels safe that this is a space where I will be defended or I will be heard. Yes.
Let's hear from the BMU itself.
Let's hear from the BMU. I believe that I have a vice chairman of the BMU here, who is Mr. Samogana from Nyamware. I also have an official here, and other official from the Gege, and the secretary. The BMUs, we have the bylaws. Within our bylaws, the bylaws might be different according to the each and every BMUs. And we have an harmonized BMU guidelines that actually, within the BMU, when you go to any other BMUs, we have the house committees or the executive committees that are manning these beaches. And within them, we have the welfare, the development, the sanitation subcommittees, arbitration subcommittee, a monitoring, control, and surveillance committee that deals with all these things. And I told you that as Kisumu County, like me, I sit in the Kisumu County network, BMU network, and I'm the vice chairman of the Kisumu East and Central BMU network. Very soon we also have an officer, the sub-county officer of Seme, Sindio? The county, yes, of Seme. And within the BMU, we work on the co-management. And I tell you that when you are sent away or chased from BMU A, you will not access very easily to the BMU B without getting an authority letter from the BMUs where you were before. Because maybe you might be, you have a bad records there. The BMU where you sit, where you come from must clear you before you go to the other BMU. And also, we also have the vettings and registration of the BMU. When we send you this year, you cannot be a member of the other BMU. These things are in law. And we also operate on the networks. Within our network, we have the ward network, sub-county network, county network, and the national BMU network, which is chaired by Tom Guda, who is our national chairman, BMU network. Therefore, it is not the BMU of the last decades that were there that they were corrupt. The BMU members are trained, and you have to be qualified to be a BMU member. You must be holding a Form 4 certificate to be the chairman. And issues of sexual gender-based violence is also streamlined within our network. Yes, thank you.
Umesikia from the Kisumu County. So,
and I think like for Kisumu, we even have our city court. So maybe the Department for Gender should also push for more punitive actions. If at all what he has said doesn't yield fruits, invoke the law, tusukume watu kotini. And then now, you know, when the law takes effect on these issues, zitapunguka.
Mmesikia kuna koti. So play around and you'll see fire. So now I want to open up this discussion to the rest of the audience. Now remember, we are the ones standing between you and lunch. So if you have a burning question, and ukitoka hapa kama hujauliza to my panelists, utachomeka. Please go ahead. So I think we'll take 3 questions to the panelists, and we'd be happy if tunaweza ongea kwa lugha yoyote. So 3 will do us good, or even 4. But remember, tumesema we are the ones standing between you and your lunch. So yes, make it quick, make it fast, and make it easy. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, my name is Buta. So my question is, we've spoken about empowering women, but you've never haven't mentioned enough what happens to the jaboyas, ndio? Alafu what inanisumbua ni what happens to our teenagers after they're involved with the jaboyas. According to the Sexual Offences Act, involving, if a jaboya engages with a teenager, that is molestation, right? So what action is taken when that happens? Amesema pia, for the BMUs, you can't move from A to B without a recommendation letter from the other. Sindio? She also mentioned kuna a lot of illegal fishing happening hapo. So what hiyo itakuwa solved aje, kwa sababu if you're trying to prevent something and there is also illegal fishing, maybe the officials are encouraging the illegal fishing because kama iko, there is nothing being done about it. Also, are there any policies surrounding this jaboya thing? And kama ziko, zinafanya kazi? Thank you.
Awesome. That's very good questions. We'll take another, but please let's limit the questions to 1 per person so that we can... Mtasikia njaa hapa.
Right, thank you, Mumbwa. My name is Nelson Manyimbi. Mine was to respond to your presentation for the research. And because you've said I summarize, it's thrown me a little bit off balance, but I'll try to summarize that. So I work with ICON Data and Learning. At ICON, we do data advocacy. And there's a lot of questions around that I raised from this specific presentation. And I think Waziri said something that caught my attention. She said that I think she asked you, is there any policy interventions that you are suggesting? And with a rejoinder to that, she also mentioned that the county has a lot of competing policy priorities. And so my question goes, for me, I think I still need to understand how bad is the problem, yeah? And how bad is the problem is one of the ways in which you can sort of admit it as a policy problem. And policy problems, it's very tough to admit them as an issue that affects people if you're not going to present it as a data issue, as a percentage, as using numbers and all that. So how are you going to relate it to the national goals? We have a lot of partners working around SRHR here. How are you going to make the issue also their issue in terms of what the interventions they run? And so through this, maybe I'd like to understand what's the contribution of that specific problem to national and county prevalences of maybe HIV, GBV, new infections, to through even maybe young people. What's the percentage of young people getting into the system, contributing to new infections for people under 35 or 18 to 24, or what are the ages that are being majorly affected by this? And you've talked about Homa Bay, Kisumu, Siaya, and I remember when the NSDCC released the HIV statistics, I think late last year or early this year, it was affected by the relapse in USAID funding, and the HIV infections also started rising. So is Jaboya a problem big enough in terms of contributing to these numbers and the early sexual abuse in terms of new HIV infections amongst young people? Of course, there's the issue of multiple sexual partners. What's the risk also in terms of those contributions? The school enrollment and attrition, is it affecting young girls who are going to school, and are they dropping out of school? What are the numbers? Then finally, I'll make reference to something called Chesterton's fence. Okay, Chesterton's fence is a phenomenon that maybe I'll just refer you to look it up. Chesterton's fence was written by a guy called Gilbert Chesterton in 1929. He wrote a book called The Thing. And Chesterton's fence basically asks, if we are trying to get rid of a system, then it's very hard to get rid of it if we don't understand why exactly it's there in the first place. Yeah. So why exactly is Jaboya there? Is it because of poverty? Is it just a system that has grown from culture? What exactly is the reason why Jaboya is there? Yeah. So I've summarized a lot. I know we'll still discuss more over lunch. Thank you.
Hey, Maswali, this is a PhD. Hey. Thank you. So 2 more. Then if Mombo allows me, we'll take more. So you and then that gentleman over there.
Yes,
We'll
we'll only take 2 more because do not overwhelm our panelists, please. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. It was a time for questions to the panelists, but I would also have to make some substantial recommendations on the findings. One, the BMUs, we face challenges that are we can manage, but due to 1 or 2 things, you get seated somewhere, as Madam Florence had said it. The chairmen are mandated to move to court. But the chairman, when you want to do the arrest, you have to report to the police, documentations, and the police need evidence, they need witnesses to do so. And maybe the same Jaboya are not ready to become witnesses. That is a problem. Again, we have our chiefs around. Some chiefs have turned the BMU leadership to be there. They are against them. They become against them because the beaches, there are a lot of activities. Some are legal, some are not legal. And you find a way in, maybe I have my colleague in which room here. Beaches hold a lot of people. People come there because there is it is where we get a livelihood. And different businesses like selling changa, not even a man alone, they attract very many people. You find the police, if they hear bang is from Uganda, they rest there because they know bang is it is their charge. And if the chairman calls them that I have a problem, someone has molested a young girl, they need you to to go to their office. That is going on. Again, I concur with Madam that our young ladies are not accessing even the funds that are not charging interest on them. Yes, I don't know whether we can, maybe we need to train them enough so that they come out to take the economic empowerment, as it had been said. Lastly, we must be in front to change our attitudes. Let this norm of Jaboya be in our minds. We have to be change agents so that it can be reduced. As per the beaches, I'm very happy. I've heard the way the chairperson Kisumu BMU network is talking. In Siaya, we are lacking something because the chairman, most of them did not go to the orientation course that was done 2006. And I appeal to the county governments, maybe I don't know whether Kisumu is doing it or Homa Bay. The current BME chairman in the beaches do not have the skill of management. Only the few who are given the fundamental course during 2006 when the BMU was getting executed are the ones that can stand up even to face the law into the court. Lastly, the respective BMUs need to regulate and harmonize the pricing of fish, because here is where Jaboya will be given more because there is something behind it. And if you are against being used, and maybe during the marketing period, you can be given less according to the value of your money. Now, these are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one last question. I'm giving you 2 seconds.
Thank you. I'll be real quick. Now, on the research, you've done a really amazing job on the research. But I had one concern. An issue has just been raised about someone has committed an offense in Beach A, and the restrictions that is not able to access Beach B. We all agree there's no problem apart from debt that money cannot solve. So the corruption issue also comes in. How sure are we that this person is not going to corrupt the other beach so that he can be allowed? And as I've said, there's no problem apart from debt that money cannot solve. So this is possible. Again, so my issue was, what if based on the research, because you said it's still a work in progress, what if we focus so much on the preventive issues? We do a root cause analysis on what is causing these issues, so that when we get to deal with the findings, we know what has caused this, so that when we are finding solutions, we also know we are finding a solution for what has been able to cause the issues. So a root cause analysis would be very crucial in this.
Okay, so treatment is better than cure. So I will return it back to my panelists, and probably if you've forgotten what the first person asked is still okay, but I want us to keep this short and sweet so we can answer the questions according to how they've been asked. And also as you make your final remarks, inaweza kuwa recommendation, inaweza kuwa chenye unataka kifanyike, unaweza kuwa it's a problem una raise. Remember we have Madam Waziri hapa na anatusikiza vizuri sana. You can see she's even taking notes, so it is very serious. Hi, Sir Florence, go ahead.
My colleague just spoke about the Jaboya, the other side of the Jaboya. I mean the men. Like I just said, we can empower the men also. by giving some job like social, repair of boats, the boat ridings. We can create such opportunities for the men so that we don't only engage on the fishing part. Then again, since there is some gender imbalance that it is the men who go fishing and maybe most of them got the boats, we can empower women with some fishing gears and nets so that we also be the jaboya ourselves. Again, since fish is scarce, the production is low these days. I think women can be ventured into something like aquaculture, some fish ponds, so that we also be the jaboya ourselves. We get out the norm of we have to give something is when we get fish. I think I've answered some little part of it. Thank you.
Just before you go to you, Bernard, Florence, do you have any final remarks?
I will say, since I said I've been a jaboya for almost 3 years, and it is a challenge for you just to start working from the beach, to get fish. It starts from the BMU. Just think of you give something to the BMU, the other thing, to the BMU first. That is registration. You can't register with money. You have money, but you have to support your money. Again, to get the fish from the beach, from the boat owners. It is not that we don't have capital, madam. Yes, we have the capital, but you have to support your capital since you cannot go fishing, since you don't have boats. So I will just wish you, one time you may visit us. I'm talking about the beach I represent, Wishloom. Talk to the women, empower us. If there is any organization that can empower us with boats, we also be boat owners. We call ourselves our own jaboyas. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Florence. Bernard, on to you.
Yeah, so she has talked about something which someone asked yesterday, that do they get involved in this because they don't have money? And it is true that money just get you ahead. No, the money is there, but the sex is what gets you ahead of the line. So that is there. I wanted to speak about the young girls. There are beaches that have blocked young children, especially the girls, from getting to the beach. Hata kama unaenda kuuza njugu or what, you do not get to the beach. So I think other BMU leaders can implement that to protect our young girls. But we also realized in yesterday's meeting that there are women who actually uses their young daughters as baits to attract customers. So this is the point we also want to warn you and the BMU leaders who are here to make sure that this does not happen in your area. Just as a parting shot, as I finish, I just want to say that there are a lot of things out there that can support. We talked about economic vulnerability, but Waziri has mentioned here that actually there are a lot of things where a lot of places we can get financial help. The problem is the awareness. People do not know this. People do not have knowledge of these places. So for all leaders who are here, just go and make sure that the people you represent know that pesa iko huko nje, matumizi ndio haijapatikana. And then the last thing I just wanted to say is what I said yesterday, that also my friend there has mentioned is the self-leadership. Make sure you be the agent of the change you want. As you go to the community, kama we ni muuzaji, whatever you do, just be the agent of the change you want in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Waziri?
A lot has been said, but for me, I look at moving away from that menace into a more meaningful economic engagement For example, can we have more women in aquaculture, investing in aquaculture? Can you bring out those stories so that some of us can be your voice? We talk about the success stories of women in aquaculture. Personally, I'm a positive vibes person. I like speaking. I like bringing out, success stories that can help us change certain mindsets that are already there. Like there is this lady who is doing great in the aquaculture industry. It's a project called Aquamnara. How many have heard about it? Aquamnara. Then Aquarech is also doing Aqua Feather. I'm telling you, there are so many interventions that women can start looking at. Like, I also want to see many women getting into fish cage farming. See, hapo you'll be safe as a woman. So can we also look at how do we explore the many existing positive platforms where we can thrive? I also have a question. The culture, is it a culture or is it a mentality that it is the men who can fish? See, even women can fish with the right tools. So we can fish. So I think change of mindset. I also want to agree with my colleagues here. We seriously need paradigm shift. Then lastly, champions. I know when we say come engage with us in a story, some will come, some will not, and Aluta continues. But I want to see if we can have champions for change engaging with the county government. It is possible. It is possible because then the champions for change will drive the process ahead beyond here, so that I know Kisumu, I'll be engaging so and so. Siaya will engage so and so. For me in Kisumu, I want to see champions for change. Alafu, you come, we engage, and we serve our people better. Parting shot. Really, you must take control of your own lives, and it starts individually, at individual level. Personally, I don't allow people to undermine me as a woman. That's a principle. You can't undermine me just because I am a woman. I will not allow it. In fact, we will not have a conversation. But when you respect me as a woman, then we will engage. So, women, tujipende. Let's not give room to people who want to make us feel like lesser human beings. It also starts with you and me. Do we accept it? Personally, I do not. Hata inajulikana, I do not. And even if I'll remain alone fighting for a cause, I always say so be it. Because if you allow people to demean you, how will you fight for yourself? So that change of mindset also should help us change the way we want to be treated as women. Nimeongea kitu akina mama? Kweli? Asante.
Asante sana. Maybe to respond on a question that was asked by the first speaker, she asked about the illegal fishing within our BMUs. It is true that we have some illegal fishing within our beaches, but as Kisumu County and as the managers of the BMUs, we are trying to mitigate those illegal fishing. And actually, when you look at the harmonized BMUs, the BMUs were formed to reduce the illegal fishing gears. And I want to say that Kisumu County is trying to actually mitigate and also to reduce some of their illegalities within their respective BMUs that they're coming from. I want to say that all this that we are talking about are domiciled and pegged within our bylaws that we are going to promulgate come September. And we also, within the bylaws, each and every BMUs were mandated to make their own bylaws. And we have the penalties that talks about all these transitional sexual for fish, among other things that are happening Kisiri. My parting shot is that let us be change agent. And we know very well that fishermen are nomad in nature. They follow fish. They are nomads in nature. Therefore, when you visit beach A, you are from beach C, please carry out yourself in a manner that you have your family there. You don't know whom you are going to meet there. And there are some beaches are saying that Pukiyer, you know issues about Pukiyer. Yes, let us come out from those bad jargons that actually will diminish what we are doing. And fisheries, in the GDP, we are ranked number 5 in our GDP in Kenya. Thank you very much.
Awesome. A round of applause for my panelists, please. I think we can still do better, bana. Pigeni makofi kama mnaenda kula lunch. Thank you very much. Najua, some of you still have questions or you feel like your question wasn't answered in the right way. So during lunch, we can do the socialization. We'll also have a session at the end of the day. You can ask your questions to the particular person that you really want to get the answers from. So once again, I'd like to appreciate my panelists. Thank you so much for the great wisdom, for the great words, and for everything. And now I will return it back to the MC before nipige. Unajua ni lunchtime. Thank you.
A big round of panelists as they take their leave. Thank you so much, our panelists. Nashukuru sana. Nashukuru sana sana sana. It's lunchtime. Sasa ni lunch time, tufunge makazi. Twende. Lunch will be served ukitoka hapa nje kwa kona hapo. I hope each one of you has a blue meal voucher. If you don't have, I have 2 extra, so you can pick one from me here. The fourth estate, I can see you, Ramogi TV, Citizen TV, Billy's and Jaboma, Sande Sana, thank you for having you, Kefa, and the other reporters, Asante Sana. So guys, in the afternoon, we will start with African Cultural Troupe again. So, don't be late. Cultural Troupe, read by the beautiful Nyanya Nyakosa. And by the way, and in the afternoon, if you are able to wear the t-shirts, please do. It will look nice on the camera. So otherwise,